As usual, I have been talking to myself for the past few minutes because I always forget to turn my audio on when I stream. So I was just telling briefly what I was doing here, drawing this hypervolt, starting off with a side view, doing most of the details there, getting the bigger portions in the first small sketch, then going into the details with this larger sketch. Before we solidify those details in the larger sketch, let's go ahead and look at some of these other things here, such as the little different end pieces here. I have not used a hypervolt myself, so I don't know what these different ones do. But I can guess what these little ridges down here do. They probably lock it in place, these different head attachments. So they should be in the same place each time. This thing gets wider there. It's a little off with that proportion, but that'll be fine. That. It's probably for digging into your skin a little bit. Get a little more pressure down into your body when you're using it. What else can we look at here? Well, let's go away from this, come back here in the side views, see if we can see any more details there. So on the other side, what we're missing, so we'll sketch this again right here. Now, since this is my third time sketching it, I can try and reduce the amount of lines that I have in sketching it, though I kind of messed up on the proportion there. But I really want to get to the details. On the hypervolt here, just this little difference right there. But there is this piece. Right there inside of it. Though, actually this should be higher here, shouldn't it? Right, so a little mistake there. Now, what other details can we squeeze in this lower area of the sketch? Looking at just some two-dimensional elements in there. Maybe if I can get close. Oh, that's a nice little detail inside of it of how it works. Definitely want to save that for later. Well, let's come back just to find any little detail. I guess something with the headpiece right there. Looking close. That headpiece right there. So let's do something like that. I like this thing I have at the bottom here, so maybe any text notes I will keep on the bottom of the page there. So just do this right there. All right, I think that's mostly it. So let's go to the pen layer, make that lighter. We'll go back to some of our first sketches, keep it simple, fill it out. The hardest things with these like really simple breakdown sketches that are tiny like this is just keeping them interesting. So I'll probably come back later on and add a bit more to it. If nothing else, probably just some marker to make it solid. All the way here, all the way there. A little longer than it should be, but we can get away with that right now. Get into a few of the details here, so this one should actually go all the way across. Does it? No, it doesn't. It stops right here. And if we zoom out from our reference a little bit, yeah, just double checking. There is this button right there, or bolt or something right there. And that's about it. Time to go back to our other one, original one there. And let's really get some detail in there. A little bit of like wall thickness, a little bevel in there. See me doing that like double line. Again, I think that double line sometimes that can be meant to like indicate like material thickness, but right now I'm using it because just one line feels very much like a technical drawing, and maybe trying to keep this a little loose, so the double line can just make this sketch feel a little looser, a little less perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it allows for that less amount of perfection to be accepted in many places over this. This actually back here was bigger, the black area. So go back there. all the way over there. Bring, is that rounded? Nope, it's pretty hard. Pretty hard line in there for going down. He's there. This curve is not actually there. So you can now just come all the way down to this. And on this one, I actually think that I was better with this little one here. So we're going to extend this out farther, because I think it should be extended out farther. Go around this right there. And here's where that green line is. Get the detail right here of that head. All just 2D sketches right now, just warming up to the proportions in this thing. I'm also going to do a little practice on some layout. Now all the individual heads. I'm zooming in on them. I don't like to zoom in too much digitally, because then it's tempting to want to put more detail than the human eye is really going to see. You gotta zoom in a little bit digitally, because there's just something different about working with a pen versus any sort of digital tool you have. You can just like zoom in with your eye a little bit, but you don't, I think, want to get in the habit of zooming in like too much. Otherwise you're going to end up in a lot of detail that just isn't really going to be worth your time, that no one's going to see. I guess mainly the zooming in right now is helping me do all my strokes at a very similar length. So whenever I'm sketching, my lines are anywhere from like 1 to like 3 inches, because that's like what I'm comfortable with. Gotta change the sensitivity on that thing. It's funny now, like you draw something for a little bit and then you kind of see how ugly it is. Right, the curvatures on this little thing right here are not that even to each other. So they made some compromises when they were manufacturing it, that the inner curve is like smaller than that outer curve there. Most people probably wouldn't notice it because it doesn't matter, right? It's more about how this thing performs, but it's a small detail of that thing that I just picked up on for the first time. piece is a little bit bigger than I thought it was the first time. Right, multiple lines allow it a little more forgiveness for the unevenness of it. Yeah, I'm using a digital tool. I could absolutely probably just have corrected it digitally to be more circular. But then I need a lot more precision in other places, and I just don't have that precision right now. Let's switch this up. Slightly larger. So these are the variable massage heads. If I go ahead and look it up, hypervolt massage head name. What does it say? Does it give a name to the different heads? Does it give a name to the different heads? No, just head attachments. Probably have to look at the manual. Okay, well, I'm not going to spend the time right now. Actually, I changed my mind. I really want to know what the massage heads. Do they have a name? I'm just going to hypervolt site. Shop. Hypervolt. Search, search, search. Let's just go with the hypervolt, the regular one. What's included? It just says heads. Probably have to find in the manual. Alright, so yes, I will stop right here because I want to find the name of these heads, but it's not going to tell me, so we're going to leave it at that. What else things can we see here? It looks like this is a power button. Right there, because I can see in this image from the Hypervolt website of the woman pressing it while she holds it. I am going to assume this is a power indication light. Right there. I think this is probably a soft touch, a soft grip, soft grip finish right here, and this must be some sort of vent. I imagine with a motor, this thing puts off some heat, and this must be the repercussive massage head, and that will be right there. I think that's good enough for some labels here. So let's just date this thing 2021-04-30. Looks kind of plain the way it is, so let's go ahead and add some more marker here. Broad tip like that. Let's just fill. Oops, that's too big. Try to go smaller one. Because that one's so simple that I just want to do that. This larger one, we can go back to that broad tip the fat tip that I was using before, and we're gonna make it so that's about 50%. So we will do that there and go again. All right. Now for the main body, we'll do that just there. Go back to the broad tip, 50% about. The same value as below. And again, 50% right here. No lighting indication on this just yet. Just some strong values in there. 50%. No lighting in there. And I think we'll have to do the same thing now, at least to each of the heads here. Okay. Using my experience of like physical sketching, yes, we can be super precise here with like digital, but I want to keep this like a loose sketch. So what would I be doing with that? And maybe there's a few places where I want to clean that up a little bit. And so I think right about here is nice because that we lose the silhouette just a little bit right there where I think it's really important, and just a bit right here. I think it's important to keep that silhouette. But the rest of them I'll just let them stay. Do I want to do some highlights here? Any highlights on this? Yeah, I think I want to do some highlights on here. That's not going to cost me too much time. I got something. Right about here. And here. Oof. Just smudge that a little bit. Nope. This is making it worse. Yuck. Well, luckily it's digital. We can just erase that and we'll leave it at that. New highlight one layer. All right. So that is what I have for just drawing the hypervolt in 2D. So let's move on to sketching it in 3D. Duplicate this over here. Alright, so now I got some images of the hypervolt in 3D. Looking to see if I have one facing the other direction here. This is going to be close enough for now. Close enough is good enough for this. So let's go back to our marker layer and just do some light marker sketching. The cylinder right here. And another cylinder somewhere over here. More open there. And so already it's getting a lot more complicated very fast. But luckily, our round head is just a circle. Let's just correct that perspective just a little bit. And correct that ellipse just a little bit wider. There's our first 3D sketch there. We'll save that for later when we want to get some details. Let's go find an image from a different angle. I kind of like this one down here, except this might be kind of a distorted perspective, the way that looks. We should definitely be able to find lots of different views on this thing. Here's a nice little back view here. That's going to be, got this, right, the little 3-point perspective to it. Very flat at the top, kind of open at the bottom. Crosses us right about here maybe. A little more open. A little more open. It's going back into perspective this way. That should be more open. Okay, so now follow that one back there. And we'll adjust that a little bit. I needed something right around here. So there's our next one. Again, just big forms right now. Let's go find another 3D view. New angle on the hypervolt. Oh, this is nice right here. I think there's a different version, but the form is overall the same. So got two kind of rotations right there. Just draw the vertical cylinder there. Barely round at the bottom, flat at the top almost. And right around here. But it is very open, kind of coming at us somewhere right around here. Watch me, it should be becoming more open as it goes away from us. More and more closer to a circle. And then we can see this as they interact right there and right there. And it's pretty flat at the bottom, so it's not going to be too open right here. And again, the head. Right here. And now let's do that other angle right there. So now something like this. A little flatter on this side than it was before. So by the time it gets over here, it's going to be a little more open, and more, and more. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to cheat it and maybe move this one back a little bit so they don't intersect with each other. And this is going up like that. And again, a little open there. And let's just do that flat head that they have right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. A few more details than I put before this time. All right. Search for another view, another angle. Maybe one kind of lying down, not quite like this. And that could fit into this space over here nicely. Not like that. A hand holding it would be nice. So this is kind of interesting. I didn't really give myself the space on the page with it, but did I? Maybe. I think if we put the handle going right here and the thing going right there, the hand is right about then somewhere around here. So I got like the thumb and the hand. Okay, it kind of goes up into that sketch up there, but I think that's okay. That'll work. Yeah, let's put that in there. I've already started. Might as well finish. So it's pretty open here. It's got to be about that width to come down into the hand right around there. Keeps going. If we're looking at it like this, pretty open. then it's going to be more of a circle by the time it gets down here. So then we got these two at this angle. We're looking at this though is pretty flat, so that makes this part a little easier to do, because overall it's pretty flat right there. We can just do like a little bit of roundness in there, but not too much. We got something back here for this, and that's gonna be it mostly. That was over fast. Well, I guess it's not done yet, but it was done faster than I thought it would be. Now we got a hand holding the hypervolt there. So again, you got like a thumb coming around over here, and we can see just some of the fingers right there and right there. And now I got some scale for this. And let's just keep going. Draw a bit more of that hand, and even like the jacket. And that'll provide some background for this other one over here. So maybe this one should overlap with this one, because that's just what's happening with that one. All right, space for one more sketch. We started to do a bunch of overlap stuff, so maybe like a larger sketch overlapping other ones, maybe another hand holding it. Just not enough perspective on that one. It's very close to a side view. That's interesting, but that hand looks a little awkward if it was only facing the other direction, if that image was flipped. And that's nice but small. And that's just it's kind of a cool product shot. Can that fit in my space here? Yeah, you know what? I think that'll work. So we got this right here, and this right here, and the hand's gonna be right here. That'll work. I wish it'd been larger. Oh, I can sketch it larger. Let's just sketch it larger than I just did. Alright, so even though it's digital, we're gonna treat it like it's physical. Make it larger than I originally just did it right there. So something like this. To make that interesting on the page. That was a mistake. Erasing that was a mistake. I didn't mean to erase it. So we got this right here. Okay. This one right here. The rough proportion for the breakup is right there, and then this goes down. We're gonna make it go off the page for sure. Green line right there, and the hands. We got the thumb right here. To the rest of the wrist right around there. We got the fingers kind of like this. And yeah, the ring finger is the farthest there, and the pinky kind of coming up right there. Oops, I think I changed my... That I didn't mean to erase because I think I changed it to the broad tip. And I think that goes nicely then into like going off the page right here. So that was fun. All right, little accidents. And yeah, there's going to be some overlap with this, but that's fine. Turn it from like being slightly 2D to slightly 3D here just by adding that. We could have kept it as 2D. Why do the rest of these ones have just that flat head? But I like the flat head just for the perspective that it helps to represent. So I'm not going to question it right now. It works well for me. And what I'm trying to do, I can't see the detail in that tiny little image there. But I've sketched this thing enough now that I can kind of guess at some of that detail. Also that this is like a black version versus like the gray version. Again, we can see some of that detail. So we can add it in there, even if we can't see it. And so that was like the value of doing all those other sketches before. So now it's time to move this into some pen work. Oh yeah, let's take that, make it all a little lighter because that's what happens to physical marker. As it dries a little bit, it gets lighter. And put this into pen. We're not going to start with the last one. We're going to start with one of the earlier ones and keep that simple. And well, let's review the file here. Just save this one for reference in a bit, which was one of the earlier ones. Yeah, it was this one right here. So keep it simple form there. Mind the pen layer, yes. Now it's just so much more comfortable to be doing this pen work. I'm just sketching over some lines I've already done. Can do some small indications. Don't get too loose, otherwise I'm going to throw off my perspective. So I got a little, a little too loose right there. And we will add this line across here for some reference on that. Move to the back view here. So that's this one. Was erring, kind of being a little too narrow there. So as I go into pen, open it up a bit more. If I'm not liking this too much, so we're gonna kind of finish it quick by keeping it overly simple, not draw too much attention to it. Got some sketches going on later on the page that I like more. I want to put more of my time into those ones. Maybe it's like a little too long in this one here now that I look at it. Right, like too big of a butt on it. Alright, what should we want to do here? Well, this hand is in front and this hand is behind, but this one is in front here. So with that note in mind, this one is in front here. Missed that right there. And let's try practicing some details right here just to see how they feel. So with that, we kind of go into the hand here. Yeah, overall this pen work going very fast now after putting all that time into the marker work. That maybe, again, sometimes let it go a little too fast. Kind of ruin some nice small details that would look better. Yeah, looks pretty good for that hand there. So this one is in front of that one, so let's go with that. Let's start right here, probably one of the most difficult parts. While I'm still more focused. Oops, still need at the very least that. That should almost about do it for the really complicated parts. Now you'll notice, right, I didn't bring up the references again. Not because they couldn't help me, they could definitely help me. But I think I have enough here from the marker that I can get away without that reference. And then instead of trying to just copy the reference, work with this on what would make a good sketch on the page. one last one here. So let's just sheet that one and make its butt just a little bigger. So it does overlap that one a bit more, but it feels like intentionally. So it's not a small tangent. There's some things happening here with digital that I'm not quite happy with, that I feel it would have turned out slightly differently if it was in pen. But what I can take from sketching physically into sketching digitally is that keep moving forward mentality. I don't want to slow down too much on this sketch and kind of lose some of that energy from sketching fast. So there's a trade-off I'm making between speed and accuracy. But I think the other thing that I'm not mentioning when I say speed and accuracy is just sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Motion on the page. That was only wow. Okay, well, I didn't finish the page, but so far I'm at about 28 minutes for this. So even though we have some more complicated sketches here, it took slightly less time than the last one. So, well, we'll probably end up taking more if we add more to it. Let's drop up to like a 50 right here for this. And while we're at it, let's actually check out the reference. I did not save that one with the guy's hand holding it. Oh. This is why you should save your images, because now I just lost. Okay. So I got this here, and his hand is just slightly lighter than his jacket. But the what I can try and do here is make it my first hint of doing a little bit of marker value in here. Just a little bit hint. And we will erase out a little bit of that. Actually, no, I like that. Let's just erase that, emphasize that motion. The motion going back and forth across that. Which other ones we want to emphasize? Of course, this last one. How much detail? Not too much. So we'll go to that broad tip because it'll fill it in quickly. Yeah, about 50%. And let's try something slightly different here, which may not work. Let's go find the reference there. Well, that one's pretty dark, like light's just coming from the outside. So this could work. So we could just do something like this here. And then make it all dark back here. And now we can go ahead and use the smaller tip here for something right about there. So now let's go erase out some stuff. Again, silhouette is important, so we will erase out where I really lose the silhouette here. Kind of a shame, because I do like how some of it breaks out of that form, but like I said, my focus here to give myself some guidance for how I do that was silhouette. So that, and we'll try again with the white pencil. Lots of highlights right here. So we got some highlights here as well. Right there. Something still shining on there, and then the very front, of course. Oh, and of course we definitely need something right here. A little softer first for the whole thing, but then brighter down here and here. And that green light, which we're not going to paint green because that'll draw way too much attention to it right there. Do a little bit of that button that we know is there. And maybe even a little bit of the cut line in there. So that's kind of a cool stylized thing that we got there on that hand. Where are some other nice ones here? Particularly maybe slightly different views. Let's do this one right here. So let's go back to that reference and let's just do the highlights on that one because we're already in the highlight layer. So we got something going on right about here. And then I might come back and erase because it's really hard to do highlights, at least in this style, digitally. And like preserve that. Right, so that's what I wanted to erase there. And then we got some nice. Don't want it to be too bright because I don't want to draw too much attention away from like that thing down below. But again, fairly broad with this because I don't want to get too detailed and caught up in it. We'll do a little exaggeration in there just for fun. So we should have at least a 1, 2, 3 right there. Let's pull our eyes a little bit more towards the left of the page and come back to our marker layer, put in a little background there, drop it down to just like a 20%, 27%. Oh, still on the white. Oops. So drop that here. And there, and this one because it's just easier definitely to erase out. What am I using here? No, I want my Physcom brushes, and I just want the hard brush. just to give it a background, to help us see what is solid, what is not solid on there. Again, rough with my erasing out, just because overall I'm getting a loose feel to this, and I think that's going to be good enough. And there we got another page, and that was only like 6 minutes to add all this little extra stuff in there. Maybe we could do a little bit more highlight on this one right here, but I think it's working out well as a slightly darker one that keeps us over to the right of the page. All right, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and you got have a good weekend.